Hello, friends, and welcome. I cannot express how happy I am to be able to be back and to kind of show up on this channel once again. If you have been with me for a long while, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to be patient with me as I navigated through the last year of my life through some very, intense personal matters. I'll share more about that in my upcoming videos, but today I thought that it would be fitting to kind of step back into this with a topic that I am super excited and passionate about, and that is about technology in your business and what it can do for your business operations. A year and a half ago, I launched my YouTube channel with, one of the staple platforms that I used for my own business operations. And as our business evolves, we need to be able to review and assess the systems that have supported that growth and if it's still in alignment. We never know what the outcomes could look like when we set out to leverage the systems, and that was the case when I began my journey with SamePage. In the middle of 2020, SamePage was acquired by another entity called Paylocity. And while we initially thought that things would remain status quo, it unfortunately didn't turn out that way at all. And so today's video, I really want to be able to speak to a lot of those changes, what you can expect as an international client, and what is going to be the next steps forward. And most of all, I want to share behind the scenes on why I made the personal decision for my business to move away from SamePage. So grab a cup of coffee, hit the subscribe button, and let's get to it. Hey CEOs, welcome back to my channel, the best place for creative CEOs, consultants, and contractors. If you're brand new here, I'm Teresa Trong, operations consultant behind LoopLink, and I'm here to help you complete the loop in your business operations and expand your agency with excellence. One of the ways that I help you do that is by helping you shift from a CEO dependent to a systems dependent operations by leveraging your technology, techniques, and team. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the state of SamePage and how it will impact your business if you are using this platform as one of your core applications, and what it means if you are a non-US based client. If you know me, you know that I do extensive research into any tool that I usually recommend. A lot of it has to do with, comparison, analysis, taking a look at what the business needs are, and being able to find tools that are a really good fit to meet those expectations and for you to be able to fully leverage the platform as best as you can so that, you're not going to be clunking it up with a lot of different technology or having to build lots of bridges between different applications. And so one of the tools that I found back in 2019 was SamePage. It really met a lot of my criterias, and so I wanted to kind of give a kudos to SamePage because it has supported my business growth from 2019 to 2020, and for that I am truly appreciative of the level and caliber of support that they brought to the table. And not only that, but a huge shout out to Scott and his team because they were always amazing at customer support, customer service, because that's one of the elements that I am always looking for when I'm evaluating a tool or assessing it for recommending to some of my clients. And so one of the few things that I truly loved about SamePage was its ability to be able to be fully leveraged. I can't say with confidence that there has been any other comparable tool where it allowed me to leverage most of it in my business operations as SamePage had allowed me to do. Some of the biggest functionalities of SamePage that I truly loved and resonated well with was their methodology, their ideology of being able to have your whole team on the same page, being able to collaborative on different levels, and also as well being able to communicate collectively and collaboratively within the same platform, because more and more as we are having remote teams, that's one of the struggles that continues to arise and is difficult to surmount, which is communication, effective communication through the various platforms. And so Samepage really allowed us to bridge that gap. We were always able to, host quick calls, quick meetings, direct chats. So Slack, we didn't really need to use Slack. We were able to communicate directly onto the platform itself. And not only that, it really allowed us to limit our external uses of other platforms such as Google Docs, for example. We were able to build documents that we can share to our clients, especially project briefs or plans, being able to build workflows directly into the pages themselves. And so those were some of the elements that I had truly valued, loved, and adopted into my own business. And so when I had to step away from Samepage, it was almost devastating to my business operations because I had to rework a lot of the processes. But not only that, I had to really evaluate how I was going to get my workflows, my information out of Samepage. And so we'll touch base on that in a little bit. But first, we're going to step into with some of the major changes that Samepage has kind of rolled out in the last few months to the last year since Paylocity has acquired them. The biggest one of all is that they announced they were no longer going to be serving non-US based clients. So by the spring of 2022, they will be moving to close down the non-US based accounts. If you are a US based client, have no fear. You're still going to be served as best as possible. If you are on the new interface of Samepage, you're going to be just fine. If you haven't converted over to the new Samepage view yet and you're still working in the Teams structure, then I would say continue to work in the Teams structure as long as you can. I would highly encourage that you do take a look at some of your backup plans. You're going to want to have an audit of your Samepage platform to see how many documents you have currently active in there, how many existing tasks that you have, and if you are housing any important documents such as SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, I highly encourage that you start migrating them over to workable documents, whether it is Microsoft Word or Google Docs. It's just great to be able to start that transition anyways, just in case Samepage comes out any different. And I'm just saying that so in that way you can start planning that kind of backup versus, having a bomb dropped on you, such as like what our international clients have had. I'm from Canada, and so I'm classified as a international client. And so part of this reason is why I had to really consider how to formulate this video in this format for you. All right, now if you are a non-US based client, aka an international client that lives in Canada, Australia, the UK, you will be affected by this major announcement and decision from Samepage. I ended up scheduling a lot of calls with my clients who were international clients and still leveraging Samepage, clients who I have helped migrate over to Samepage. And so I reached out with them and started talking about alternatives, what they could do to make sure that they do protect themselves. Of course, we have some time, but you never want to leave it to the last minute. And so it came down to really figuring out, if we're not going to be using Samepage, what are we going to be using? And so I do have 3 alternatives for you. If you are watching this video and you have the same questions as I had, if you had the same questions that my clients had, let's get to it. The first alternative that I would like to recommend and suggest is going to be a platform that I have been with since their inception, since the early days, and I was an early adopter of them, which is ClickUp. ClickUp has been a productivity platform that has evolved in the last few years, and more so in the last year itself. Its growth has been so strong and so amazing to watch that it is truly comparable to Samepage. There's some connectivity that is in alignment with Samepage, such as being able to create individual documents for project briefs, project plans. It has a really strong platform for automation, for team collaboration, and much more. The only downfall that I did feel about ClickUp was that its chat function was not strong enough. And I have been monitoring it for the last year, and unfortunately unfortunately, there hasn't been as much progress as I had liked to see with it. And so if you are going to be switching over to ClickUp, I highly encourage that you do couple it or complement it with Slack so that you'll have that team collaboration, communication piece that will allow you to collectively work together cohesively as a team. The second alternative that I would like to recommend is Nifty PM. Well, Nifty PM is still very young. I have been watching their own growth and development in the last 2 to 3 years as well. Last year, I reached out to the owners and the developers to see what their long-term vision and plan is. And so far, it feels and sounds like they aren't going to be acquired, or that might be one of the considerations. But again, as any business evolves, we never know what kind of opportunities they'll be presented with and how that's going to shape the course of their growth and direction. However, with Nifty PM, it does allow you to have usability similar to Samepage, where you will be able to have that direct messaging, the communication in one platform. It does integrate with Zoom. You can integrate it with Google Docs and Sheets as well, so you won't have to worry about migrating your documents from Samepage into Nifty. And so that's one of the considerations why I would suggest Nifty PM if you are assessing for an alternative from Samepage. Now, the last tool that I do want to recommend is Hive PM. Hive PM or Hive Teams has been around for a number of years, and I stumbled on this probably about 2 years ago. And at first I felt that it was still very similar to Asana or Trello, and so I wasn't quite sold on it. I wasn't feeling that it was a compatible tool. However, I have been testing it out for the last 3 to 4 months, and I am just blown away just by the amount of simplicity that is there. I was able to quickly migrate actually from Samepage and ClickUp into Hive, and I have to say that I am pleasantly surprised by how easy that migration went. And not only that, but being able to set up projects quickly, house my operations, and really integrate my team in there again as well. One of the other functions that did satisfy my needs were the direct messaging section. It allowed me to easily chat with my team members. It actually allowed me to also easily document my meetings because it connected with my calendar. And here I was being able to record down meeting minutes that I had with team members or with clients, prospects, and the whole shebang. And so if you haven't been feeling like ClickUp was the right deal for you or the right platform for you, then I highly encourage taking a look at Hive Teams. All right, friends, I know these are always one of the most difficult things to do in your business, especially during a migration off of a critical platform that supports your business operations. Sometimes it's out of our control, but these are some of those checkpoints where it really allows us to evaluate and test the fabric of our operations, right? And so while it might be unfortunate, there are always opportunities on the other side to be able to start reevaluating your business processes. What can you streamline a little bit more? What can you bring forth that's going to increase efficiency, but also allow more visibility or clarity in some of your process steps? And so if you do feel that there's still a lot of areas that you're unsure about, or if you have a lot of questions, feel free to reach out to me and join my Facebook group, and that's where we can kind of continue the conversation with. I will link my Facebook group below. Feel free to join me there, and I would be more than happy to walk alongside you for some of the questions that you will have. Before we wrap up our time together, there is one last thing that I do hope to encourage you with, is that although some changes will be inevitable, make sure you plan for it. Don't jump the gun and jump into trials for these platforms that I have suggested or recommended. Definitely take a little bit of time to do some analysis and some audit to vet whether or not some of the functions, the features will meet your business needs and criterias, that it's not just only bells and whistles. It's going to truly help support your operations and especially the growth of it in the next 3 years. I want to be cognizant about your time because every single time we sign up for a trial, whether it's 14 days or not, it still takes a lot of time for you to, invest into setting up some of these platforms and then really evaluating and testing how it's going to work. So planning will be your best friend. Plan out what the migrations will look like, plan out what your needs are, and then see if these platforms and these features will meet your business criteria and needs. However, if you're feeling like there are disconnects between the platform and your business needs, or you have some reservations about it, listen to your red flags and don't try and squeeze it into your operations because it just looks good or that many of your friends are using it. Make sure that it is right for you. So before you go, I'd love to hear from you. How do you feel about the direction that Samepage is going? Has this personally affected you and your business? Leave your answers or your feedback in the comment section below. Make sure you do join my free Facebook group. I would love to be able to support you there. If this video was helpful, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and hit the like button so that I know to make more videos like this in the future. I'm really excited to be back, and so I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.